So welcome to our session. And I'm happy to have you. We have a grouping up and we're going to have some dynamic event today. So we have 1.5 hour sessions and we're going to have some group discussions that we're going to raise the questions, not to the panel, to you directly. We would like to ask your opinion. So my name is Pınar Yılmazar. I'm coming from International Union of Railways. I'm a sustainability program manager, but is also now I'm the leader of the SYMBIOSIS project, which is a systemic mobilization for joint biodiversity and infrastructure. But before we delve into all this, the details, I want to also introduce my co-organizers with me today who are going to help me. They are supporting us in the project, technically. So Thierry Gauget is from FAL, Secretary General from FAL. And Andrea Saylor, everyone knows also. It's the SR4W, IENE working group leader, and is coming from SLU. And Lazaros Georgiadis is a long-term ecologist and is coming from also the CERT and Greece, which has all the background. So they were going to help me out today. But it's also, I can just jumping up from what is the SYMBIOSIS project. So this has been actually recently been kicked off. It's last week, and I hope it can see me. No? Go there. No, I think it stays on the Zoom maybe. Oh yeah, okay, perfect. So the project has got recently a funds under the European Union Rail Joint Undertaking. So that's why the name is covering up the railway organization. We actually created the railway a financement to make sure that we can get together with the other linear infrastructure sectors. So we have the 22 members from Europe, and you can see that is also there. We have the international organization like UIC, FAL, and also the ICSI. But it's also we have the railway undertakers. So we get the real data from the experts that we are working with the SNCF Réseau, and Network Rails, and also Itelfer from Italy. But it's also we have the research center. So it's not just like we're dealing with our problems in-house, but it's also we get together with research center, universities, NGOs, and consulting and service providers also. So these are, you can see, that's very broadened perspective that we have in the SYMBIOSIS project. But so there's just an understanding for you, what is the objectives of this project. So first of all, it's important for us entire week. We were talking about the key enablers. So it's actually this project, we're going to mainstream the biodiversity in infrastructure developments. That's why we would like to accelerate the action. So it's like, that is the meaning of why we are working with international organizations. Also, they can work with the transport policy developments, but it's also with the researchers, we can work on the environmental impact assessments, sustainability reporting, and also the procurement processes. That's what we are not that much talking about. It's actually when we are developing infrastructure projects, we can embed our biodiversity perspectives into the procurement processes to long-term improvement. Coming to the objective two, it's actually the project itself, even though it's a coordinated supportive action, we are also doing a research which is based for the delivering the practical tools. So the practical tools, when I'm saying, it's not just for the railways. We would like to make sure that we combined all the information from the road sector and also the energy sector. This is energy distribution and also the production lines. That's why we have also some contributors from that side. And what we wanted is actually sustainable land management for resilient infrastructure. So therefore, we are going to use our knowledges and to get together to make sure that we can promote the biodiversity while ensuring the infrastructure developments. Another one, this is our day-to-day businesses. Actually, in my activities, we are convening the expertise to get to know that what they are dealing with, what they are working on these topics. That's why the rail actors will going to be together with the biodiversity experts. and to create an inclusive, standardized framework. That's what we are always suffering, actually. The standardized framework, it's hard to manage it, hard to build it up, because there's lack of the collaboration in the society. So that is this Symbiosis project, is also the achievement after the BISON project. So from now on, actually, I would like to cut in a short, and I would like to go to that, as I am just referring to the BISON project, I would like to invite Terry Goje, that is also the, as we were partnering in the BISON project, so he would like to also mention what we find out in BISON and how we're going to carry on the Symbiosis project.
Yeah, thank you, Pina. Yes, so very good morning, everyone. Indeed, this is, I think, the right place, IENE, to mention and let's say the main results of this BISON project. BISON is one of the first, at least the biggest European project ever funded in the field of biodiversity and infrastructure. And today, the idea is to trying to bring you some of the main information or main knowledge that has been produced, and then certainly that will need to will continue in a way to be harnessed in the Symbiosis project. So, well, the maybe one of the major output of BISON is strategic research and development deployment, even agenda. This is actually a major document that we aim to be very short, strategic, and pragmatic. And I come, back to the session we just had this morning, with a strong focus on practitioner and let's say something ready to be used. So the key results and messages in this document are the following. Well, develop a transversal infrastructure approach in the context of their relationship with biodiversity, a common vocabulary shared by transport and biodiversity experts as cornerstone, enhance coherence and cohesion, including from regulation or economic point of view, and potential for collaboration and optimization at European and global level. Last but not least, we also promote, let's say, or argue in this output that research and innovation must be carried out jointly by public and private players to support more rational and effective operational actions. So we certainly argue not to, let's say, promote greenwashing. So some of the major elements underpinning these key messages are the following. We have realized in the work we've done that most of the issue encountered, when I mean issues, biodiversity and infrastructure issues encountered by the different modes of transport are actually very similar and have a lot of interrelation between each others. So this is why we want, this is a very key message that we want to stress, that this is a transversal topic for let's say, all research activities. And as regards to the European, let's say, funding program, this is certainly an important issue for the cluster 5, which is about transport and energy. Well, we also argue that technical solutions are an important part of the answers. That's clear. But taking into account the human and territorial interactions between infrastructure and biodiversity is also essential. And that's also another reason why this is a transversal, let's say, topic. And we would like also to bring that into the cluster 5, transport and energy, which is, again, the Horizon Europe program. So not only leaving it in the cluster 6 for the one who are familiar, but moving it to the cluster 5, which is more operational. It's also about developing strategic governance and research into infrastructure, ecosystem, and territories. Well, we have actually developed 4 main outputs that are really, let's say, concrete output, almost ready to be used or even ready to be used. And in relation to the discussion we had this morning, the transfer of knowledge, this is critical that this knowledge is not left, under dust or digital dust, because now this is digital for a bit. But this is really important that we are able, all of us, to use this information and actually almost sell this information and sell these tools. So we have a very important output on the good practices as well as the gaps and barriers to expand the replicability. We have an handbook for action on biodiversity and infrastructure, which is a major output online now under the website of IENE. This is really something really to be used. And so if you are road authorities, you've got here a great tool. If you're researchers, you've got also a great tool to look at. And maybe, sorry, maybe also you can, if you have ideas of, let's say, improving the tool, IENE is very pleased now to, let's say, continue the update of this tool. We've got another very important output on emerging trends and future challenges. And last but not least, an application of the BEAM, Building Information Modeling, and other tools to standardize data record and management. Well, last but not least, I mentioned that this is actually a very encompasses approach that has to be taking into account all the mode of transport, but not only. It has also to go through the energy and the renewable energy aspect. Well, not only, looking at the application. Application is very important, and we had this morning a discussion on that. So most of the work and the research activity that has been performed moves on the innovation side and application. We also argue in this strategic research and deployment agenda to have also a part for research and for public research involving the public and the private sector. And with that, I just want to thank, of course, again, all the partners that were involved. And if you want to access all the details, very rich outputs and detail of the BISON, you can just take the picture, but not even the picture, your picture, but then, okay, it's a QR code that links directly to the website with all the knowledge that has been produced. And as I said, part of it as well is now relayed on the IENE, let's say, organization and website. Thank you.
Say if you want. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Zoe. Like, it's a great to see the what has been developed within the BISON project, and is now how we are going to actually bringing up this an important information, important knowledge gathering to the SYMBIOSIS project. So it says, you can see that the BISON was like covering up all the transport networks. Now we are also carrying these messages. What else we can do for the railways? So I just want to invite to my our work package leaders is actually that should connect it online. And I want to make sure that if they can hear us, can you also help me for the Zoom? Can you hear us, Sergio, Reto, and Martina?
Yes.
Yes.
And Martina?
Martina is not connected online at the moment.
Right. Okay. Okay. Would you mind?
Are
you going to cover it up on the work package 5 or the
I'll message her.
Okay. 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 So let me introduce you briefly. We have the 3 work packages which are technical. Definitely we have also communication and all, but we would like to just make sure that you grasp the idea that what we are going to work on. So the Sergio Alvarez is in charge of the work package 3, which is an operational toolkit, but is also coming from the Universitat Politécnica de Madrid. And then the work package 4, which we are going to focus on to the standardizing biodiversity data and integration. And Reto Szymczycki is coming from UK Center for Ecology and Hydrology. Then Martina or Lazaros, they're also now leading the work package 5, where it's very important assessment of the societal challenges in sustainable transport development. And they are coming from also the Center for Research and Technology, Hellas. So, Sergio, if you're ready and can hear us, I can also let you do it.
Yes, thank you, Pinar. Well, actually, I'm not Sergio. I am Carlos Alonso. I am a colleague of him. I am working actually in the same institution. I am assisting him in this work package leadering task. So yes, the work package 3. Well, actually, Sergio couldn't attend to this meeting because he's another meeting face-to-face, so he asked me to do it by him. So this work package 3, operational toolkit, has the purpose of reviewing and developing a set of operational tools to take into account the biodiversity and the carbon sequestration, some other ecosystem services, in a holistic way on the infrastructure, railway infrastructure development and maintenance and operations. So for that purpose, we have divided this work package into 4 tasks. The first one is the one you have in your left is to explore and analyze the requirements for the operational tool. So what do we need to build this operational tool to bring together the biodiversity and ecosystem services and the railway operation and development? So for that purpose, we will explore and characterize the existing operational tools for every environmental impact assessment and benefits, and to identify and characterize the current experiences in this matter. Then the second task, which is dealing with the mapping of railway resilience to climate change and to check the opportunities to benefit biodiversity. The objective of this task is to develop a methodology using climate risk maps and visible adaptation measures to enhance the resilience and the biodiversity benefits. The third task is dedicated to blue and green infrastructure guidance. So we will seek to enable transport stakeholders to identify the most suitable design and management options for this blue and green infrastructures integration in the railways or the ones that they already have. And finally, the task 3.4, which is a biodiversity and CO2 calculator, the development of such a calculator. The main goal is not to build the calculator itself, but to give the methodology to build it and to make the main ways to do that. So the objective is, yes, to set these conditions to develop a user-friendly calculator to assess the carbon emissions and the carbon mitigation and the impacts on biodiversity, both positive and negative, throughout all the infrastructure life cycle. So for this purpose, to materialize or to take this to the ground, we are expected to deliver 4 deliverables, one each for every task. And the first deliverable will be due by the month 20, which is an impact assessment revision of tools the review of impact assessment tools for linear infrastructures. Then the second deliverable will be a harmonized methodology to prioritize the nature-based solutions for climate resilience infrastructures. That would be due in month 30. Then the third deliverable and the fourth deliverable both are due for the month 34. And the first one of these last 2 deliverables will be a decision support guidelines to reinforce blue and green infrastructure on transport and energy infrastructure. And finally, a biodiversity CO2 calculator for the railway sector. The main lines We will also set the methodology and a few case studies, and we will evaluate that calculator with these case studies. So this is briefly what is about the work package 3, this operational toolkit.
Okay, thank you, Carlos.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, we can't see you in the same screen, so it's a bit like a, yeah, so sorry. Yes, if you can, yeah, that could be nice.
Hi,
Yes.
just a really quick question. Is this just for railways or does it include other linear infrastructure like power lines?
Yes, so Carlos, did you hear the question?
Go ahead,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, that would include the auxiliary lines, energy lines, not only, but based on railways mainly.
Okay, thank you, Carlos. We'll have the question and answer sessions, but shall I continue with Reto, with you, if you can hear us?
Yes. Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity to present Work Package 4, but I'm also really looking forward to the outcome of the discussion that will follow after these. So in Work Package 4, we will focus on biodiversity monitoring on a railway asset to support sustainable management and positive contribution to nature and people. So the work will be done in close collaboration with other partner, part of the Symbiosis project, but also stakeholders to co-develop protocol and tool to standardize biodiversity data collection and integration to inform management, harmonizing report, and provide evidence-based support for decision-making. So the work package is composed of 4 interconnected tasks that involve close collaboration with stakeholders from the railway and other transport sector, but also with the researcher and other NGOs that are involved and engaged with that sector. So in the first work task, we will assess the current state of how biodiversity data are collected and reported across railways. We will examine which component of biodiversity is collected, when, how, where, and why. We will also examine how these biodiversity data are managed and used, planning, to inform decision and a report to authorities. We will also examine the perception of biodiversity and the relevance of and benefit of monitoring and integrating biodiversity and component in asset management. So this will be done essentially by interview and survey in this first task. In the second task, we will work with stakeholder again to adapt and pilot test some recent innovation made in automated biodiversity monitoring. So we will test a combination of fixed and mobile monitoring device using passive and active sampling, collecting images, acoustic and genetic signal, combined with automated algorithm to analyze the data and derive biodiversity metric. In the third task, we will work with ecologists, data scientists, and engineers to co-develop pipeline and tools to integrate those biodiversity data into rail asset management. We'll identify internal and external data availability, develop statistical model to derive relevant information from the data. We will work with stakeholders to build capacity to facilitate integration of biodiversity data into rail asset management to help mitigate risk, inform planning, and maximize contribution to nature and society. Finally, in a fourth task, we will work together with stakeholder and partner again, especially with work package 3 and 4 to co-design a framework to standardize biodiversity monitoring, integrating everything we learned in the previous task in the testing for data integration and harmonizing and efficient reporting. This will help monitor biodiversity on green, blue, and brown infrastructure, will support better integration of the use of the data to improve practices, provide standard to report biodiversity internally, but also across authorities. So essentially, this task will be led by UKCH, where we have been involved in several other projects on the railway and linear infrastructure, but it will also be in close collaboration with other Symbiosis partner, including Central Superlag in Paris, that will develop and work on the task 3, the integrated biodiversity into rail asset management. Thanks.
Thank you, Reto. It's yeah, so it's all these 2 work packages are very technical, and it's very like the covering up all the perspectives. But there is also the work package 5. If Martina can hear us, no, okay. So I can give you, Lazarus, maybe the floor. Yeah.
Thank you, Martina. Asked to excuse here because the baby is not in a good mood today, and he has other obligation, more as Elke used to say, important things first. So I can speak from here, talking about the working package 5. Is dedicated to assessment of social challenges in sustainable transport development, and let's say there are the 4 goals that you can see on the screen. Assessing societal impacts, challenges, and stakeholder involvement in sustainable transport development. Assess regulatory frameworks and policy gaps affecting transport and biodiversity. Update environmental assessment and corporate reporting to integrate biodiversity. And embed biodiversity in procurement process and corporate strategies effectively. So these goals of this working package will have 4 deliverables. The deliverable of the first working package will be an analysis report on assessing societal priorities on sustainable transport development. The 5.2 task, we have a deliverable of recommendation for enhancing cross-cutting biodiversity and climate policies on railway infrastructure. The task 5.3 will deliver a recommendation on environmental impact assessment of the cumulative effect of pairing infrastructure development and some milestones on reporting. We will see in the next phase. And in the end, the task 5.4 will deliver recommendation for mainstreaming biodiversity within the procurement processes, as well as for improving the disclosure regarding biodiversity in the supply chain in compliance with the new standards. The last 2 deliverables will be delivered at the end of the project, in the month 36. The first will be soon, let's say, in the month 23rd. And the recommendation from the policies is about the month 30. And just to see a little bit some milestones that can be delivered as a report, in task 5.2, we will deliver a report on regulation and policy assessment on interaction and impacts of rail infrastructure and its synergies with energy infrastructure on biodiversity and climate change. And for the task 5.3, we have 2 milestones. The first is an analysis report on adapting the CSRDA for development of transport infrastructure networks in harmony with biodiversity conservation and ensuring ecological connectivity. And the second will be an analysis report on biodiversity data flow of different scale in the reporting process and follow-up framework on policies and strategic planning in connection with environmental impact assessment. Somehow all the tasks and the deliverables and the milestones are interconnected with the previous work packages. And there is a complex matrix, let's say, of which work package will give input to which work package and task from the other, from the work task from work package 5. So this is as a summary. We can say more, but I think for today it's enough to have the framework of work package 5.
Thank you. Thank you, Lazarus. So these are definitely, this is CSRD as we are expecting, and we all need to report it in line with the CSRD, is actually there's all the tools and the digital monitoring and the assessment of the societal challenges. They are all get together, and it says actually this is a symbiosis project. We're going to bring us after 3 years study with all this our 22 members to working together. So I just want to as you are hearing the project, I just want to also to give you the floor if you have any questions to our work package leaders, and if you would like to ask your if you have sparked an idea, and if you have questions to them. Any questions?
Hi again. So it sounds super relevant, and I think something which is definitely needed. Just to kind of understand the overall scope, is the aim to try and make it easier for all different industry, different companies to report in a more kind of efficient, effective, standardized way? Does that fit with kind of the overall mentality?
Carlos, do you want to go for it?
Yes, I would say that this is one of the objectives. So it's a possible application of the outcomes of this project. To assist the corporative, how do you say, there is a technical corporative sustainability report directive. So I think that would be one of the applications of the outcomes of the project.
Okay, then maybe 2 questions just to follow on. Is there much aspect of kind of best practice identifying and sharing within the scope of the project as well?
And I think Dan Reto, maybe you can continue with you.
Yeah, so this is definitely one of the tasks of that co-design inclusive framework to standardize first the monitoring, but also how we integrate the data, providing tool, and how we report. So across, not just internally, but also across the industry or the different partners.
Okay. And the final question, actually it's 2, sorry. To what extent do you use existing reporting frameworks, like the ones created by the IUCN, IBAT, and STAR, for example? And secondly, to repeat your last question, I understand that this is based on railways, but with relevance for other linear infrastructure. I work on power lines with grid operators, so I'd be interested to know just how transferable this knowledge could be and how relevant it would be, therefore, for me to be involved.
That's right. So I think I can take that one. So it's we definitely, the railways are working with electrifications and all that is important for us, that we are also partnering with the railway and the energy sector already together. But it's also, we have the knowledge gathered already from the BISON project that we're going to take away to this symbiosis project. So the reporting part, I think, is this what we learn from BISON and what there's already is going on in the sector that we didn't bring it up. So that's why the symbiosis will be the first time that we're going to be able to work a bit closer together. That's I can say. Yeah. But is there any other? Yes, please go, Lazarus.
And it's very important to see the relationships between railways and energy, because especially the future trains, are connected with the power lines let's say, getting the power. So, and this is one of the subjects of the project, to see synergies, cumulative effects, the new approach, how to get close energy transportation with energy consumption by the trains.
Okay. Any other question?
If I may add on this, Pinar.
Yes, please, Lorenzo. Yeah.
On the transferability towards the energy sector, we have 2 partners from the energy sector, and one of these is PGE Energetica, that will ensure that this transferability of content so that it can be applied towards energy infrastructure. And I would like to endorse what Lazarus said regarding the connection to the power grid, especially on the verges, and how this will be done. It's part of the investigation of the symbiosis project.
Perfect, Lorenzo. Thank you very much. Lorenzo is also from a UIC. We are working as a team to make sure that we can ensure all the connection that we can achieve under the Symbiosis project. Thank you, Lorenzo. Any other question? Yes, please. Yeah.
Do you also consider future developments on trains like hover trains for magnetic trains that do not need power lines? So this will probably a future development. So is it also taken into account in these studies, etc.?
Well, shall I talk on behalf of railways? I don't know, but well, I can say it's as we are talking on the European side, having the maglev trains and all is a bit challenging right now to investigate it now. So this is a bit far from, let's say, we are more looking for electrification to make sure that, first of all the European lines can be electrified and can be more help to decarbonization, let's say, reach the targets and all. So that is not our perspective, but BISON project works very well on that part. And I'm going to hand it over to you.
No, it's a really nice question because we discussed this in the beginning with Vasek. We heard about Vasek, what experience they have from power lines. And with the winner of the photo competition in this conference, because Marek Galis is working, is involved in Symbiosis just to give the input on power lines impact. But the future, as we discussed, it's just to make such a trains without power lines. If we talk for them, we used to be useless in 15 years, 20, to not have power lines. So this can be the best solution. In the future, the vision of the trains, power lines will not exist. It's a big wish.
So thank you very much. So this is a compliment. I think I'm going to cut in a short, and I just want to make sure that we can continue on to the other part, if it's okay, and then we can ask the questions after that again. Okay. So thank you very much, all the work package leaders, and I think I'm going to ask your applause to them when we are finishing or yeah, just go first, please. Thank you, Reto. Thank you, Carlos, and thank you, Lazaros. So it just now continue a bit. I'm just checking the time. We are a bit delayed, but so that's why we're going to make a slight changes. Instead of making you group, we have some 3 questions. We want to have your opinion after learning after hearing us what we're going to work on it. But it's also how can you support us with providing the feedback. So I want to ask, maybe start with Andreas first of all. Shall I take you and the microphone? Yeah, Andreas. So you're going to raise the first question. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. So when we had the kickoff meeting last week, we discussed what do we want to discuss today and what is missing maybe so far. And we identified that it is really important to develop a common, not only a common language, but also a common narrative or a common vision of what we are actually trying to accomplish in the future. So the first question that we would like to have your input on is, what are your visions on the future of railways and what should we prepare for? We already heard the magnetic railways so that we can skip electric power lines. Do you have other ideas what railways in the future should look like and what we should be concerned with in the future? Yes.
I'm a train user. I'm Jan Mampai from Belgium, and I use daily trains. And I think in future there will be much more passengers on trains, because I think the local airplane flights will disappear and they will use trains for it. So I think much more passengers will be on trains. I hope so.
Hello, I'm Marilena from Cyprus. We actually don't have trains, but I grew up in Athens and I use the train a lot. I believe that you have to, that we are looking towards big expansions and more connections between train lines, between countries or in the same country. So it would be very beneficial if your project includes monitoring from the start or even before the start of a new train line, not only for existing train lines.
Thank you. So more passengers, more capacity, freight probably as well. More railways. That we are growing. We're growing. More growth.
Yeah, we had a big example of our very famous poster award winner. He was going here by train, and he got stuck in Berlin. So he had to wait a long time to get ahead. So a very good European network that's very efficient should be hugely beneficial for transport. And if you get more passengers, you can also more means for investment in improvements. So it will work also in that way.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. I can only agree. Better connections. Ivo.
Okay. Ivo from Transport Center Czech Republic. Many of you know me. I will add one point connected to previous ideas, and it's reliability of service for passengers and freight. That at current state, in my opinion, the railway is very weak in this, because one disruption in Germany and railway long distance railway traffic in Europe collapsed. Yeah, last week example. So I think it must be done much more in this way, and also this is for cargo, because in case of disruptions, okay, we are facing floods in this next week, or actually this weekend. Czech Republic will have a flood. I think it will be disrupted traffic in many railways, and many factories is dependent on just-in-time services. And we cannot simply move their cargo to rails if railway is not possible to guarantee such services.
Yes.
Hello, I am Magnus Stenmark. I assist in different railway projects in Sweden. I think definitely one vision in the near future at the European level would be that railway projects will be, there will be much more interest from publicity and from NGOs and from different levels of the society. They will be both interested, but also putting out much more demands on how we integrate, build, and maintain railways in terms of biodiversity. And of course, it's going to be a zero net loss vision, but it's not enough. It's what we have to prepare for is to build and change and develop railways so that they can actually be integrated and to some extent deliver biodiversity in certain landscapes. So that's that's one vision.
Very good.
Hi, my name is Mauricio. I'm from the University of Lorraine in France. Well, I was thinking on, even if we know that from the energy point of view, railways are better than cars or airplanes, but still this energy consumption sector, and improving the energy matrix and make it more sustainable is a big challenge because it depends on the origin of the electricity from coal, like hydrogen or nuclear. So looking at the energy matrix at the European level, I guess is a big challenge as well.
I want to hear a bit more. How can you see that that railway can fulfill the future landscape, let's say? What do we need to do with the railways? Like we were talking about mortality, we were talking about vegetation management. What railways also should bring to the future, to help the future? Maybe let's know that we would like to also concentrate.
Yes.
I was going to just touch on the societal impacts. It was more around, so in the UK, we had High Speed Rail 2, which has been cancelled or the northern section has been cancelled now, which is reducing the amount of available seats on trains going south, and prices have spiraled for that project. So ticket prices have gone up quite significantly, and it's putting people off using rail, and they're using their cars. So there's also a consideration that, yes, rail's great if it's cheap enough, but if it's not, then people are going to continue to use their cars, and there may still need to be improved road development to accommodate those cars. They're interlinked.
Yeah. So, oh yeah, you wanted to add
Yeah,
something.
I would like to add some short thought that I had. I mean, when you look at the last history of the railway development, and we see that they very well understood the railway and also the society, that the railway is part of the solution concerning the climate problems. And they improved a lot. I mean, the railways have done a lot, not only in Austria, but on the European level, more than any other sector. But I think to get ahead with also the biodiversity topic is that you have to tell the same story to the management and to the public, that we are also an important factor for other ecological challenges as well. So we are part of the solution of other ecological challenges, and they have to understand, because when I just to give you a short glimpse to what our management understands under biodiversity, they often say, just leave me alone with these butterflies and flowers. You know, they don't understand the connection and the relevance. So, and the same holds true for the public. So if we manage to tell the story that railways are also important for other ecological and societal challenges, then we'll have a brighter future, maybe.
Yeah, indeed. And actually, you are making the transition to the second question. Thank you very much. So for this additional comment that you make. Well, moving to the biodiversity after, let's say, raising the or discussing the vision for the railway. So what would be your feeling about the priorities that could be put in place to monitor and let's say report about biodiversity components? So where would you place, if you had two priorities to give, where would you place them? We are normally supposed to be within the group of people talking about green. So this should be the longest discussion. Yeah.
I think probably one of the main ones is invasive species, particularly in the UK, and I'm sure it's equally applicable across the continent. Invasive species, particularly Japanese knotweed, is rife along the banks of most railway tracks, and trying to remove that and trying to incorporate some natural vegetation back onto those banks is probably one of the key aspects of trying to improve rail sides.
Okay, very good. Yes. So we've got one. Who gets better than that? Invasive species. Yes, you want it? No? Okay. It's like an auction. Yeah, please. Yeah, you can. Yeah. I mean, it's yeah, of course.
Well, it's land take, I think. It's like how much land take we're going to have it, how much the area that we're going to occupy, let's say, because we always say in the railway has a smaller corridor than the grey corridor than the road transport. But it's also we are expecting a doubling up on our lines and all. So what is going to be the land take? How are the ecodocs were going to help the land sequestrations, also the carbon sequestration parts and all. Those are the parts I think for me is important, and we need to also look for that. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ina. Here we are. Yes. When you look at it from a biodiversity point of view, I think railways are a barrier sometimes and are a habitat sometimes. And I think those two components, habitats for invasive species as well, those two components I think are really important to take in account in all kind of monitoring. And of course, for the barrier, when you can look only at big carnivores, but you can look at insects too, and then it becomes complicated. Thank you. I think there was, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that was one aspect that I was about to bring up, because with more railways and also higher speed railways, they will need to be fenced to a larger degree. And also we can expect, therefore, the barrier effect to be stronger. Now, the barrier effect is not a biodiversity component. And yes, maybe, yeah. So there will be a number of species that actually can experience that barrier, and probably an increasing number of taxa also impacted. That was one aspect. And the other is, I have experienced that the disturbance factor, so the, how shall I say, the railway effect zone, is rather not well described for railways as it is for, much better at least for roads. There are still knowledge lacks even there, but specifically around railways, like noise disturbance from railways, for example. And that is very different in its character compared to road traffic disturbance. So the biodiversity components affected by visual and audio, and possibly also vibration disturbances. Yeah, that type of disturbances could be important to understand much better, and monitoring could be one way of understanding.
Yeah, when you mention also that, you refer to biodiversity only or to human being as well?
Yeah, well, that was not the question, but yeah, if you wish, yeah.
Okay. Good. Yeah. Honor Ed.
Sorry, I'm a tech guy. So, but when constructing new railways, often it's at existing railways, it's not possible to install anything alongside the rail side. So why not include like detectors from the beginning over the whole stretch of the rail? It can be very cheap, I think, and you can use it for monitoring and detecting. So one trains that obstacles are on the rail. So that could be an idea to take it in account when developing and designing a new railroad.
Okay. Yes, very good. Others? Yes, one more. And then we will probably move on to the impact as well to get some time.
Yeah, I
Please.
think it would be good to quantify the buffer around the linear railway of certainly the noise and maybe the chemical pollution, because I suppose it's very dependent on the kind of habitat around.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it can be a very small buffer, but it can be very big as well.
Mm-hmm. So buffer for the disturbance in a way. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me. Can I?
Please.
Yes, I am online. I don't see the way to do this. Well, I actually, regarding the biodiversity issues, especially the comment about both the role of railways as barriers, but also corridors and habitats. I think we should take into account the scale of the assessments to bring together both variables or effects in CO2 sequestration or many other ecosystem services that might be affected by the railway development or even the existence of the current network. With the biodiversity issues, we need to focus on different scales. So this cross-scale approach, I think, would be a key issue in this operational toolkit, particularly in this project. because you can't compare you cannot compare the effects on biodiversity with the effects on carbon sequestration at a single scale. So you have to take into account at which scale every effect is operating, and then bring all these scales together in a cross-scale approach of the operational tools. Maybe that would be a key issue in this project as well.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution. And let's move on to the last part now.
Thank you, Thierry. Of course, we need time to discuss more, and this discussion can be endless, but we have to move on. So let's see all the case about society point of view. So what kind of impact in connection with the biodiversity will come in the future, or there are today when we didn't have recognized them. Andreas.
I think one aspect that we rarely think about is that railway corridors are areas where humans are not allowed to be. We are taking away humans we're taking away space from landscapes. We are not able to cross. We are not able to visit or even be in the vicinity. So we're actually taking away landscapes from the landscape, or space from the landscape. And I think that could be a societal problem if we anticipate that rail infrastructure will become much more expanded.
Ladies first. Thomas, ladies.
Yeah. So this is a very general thing, but I believe that most members of the public know that trains are better for the environment, but they don't know or understand how and why. So it would be good to have some educational material, maybe some workshops, some train the trainers, because I don't think the average person understands why a train would be good for biodiversity.
That's a good point. Thomas.
I would like to refer to what Andreas just said. So if we are building new railways in Europe, then you have an environmental compensation scheme. And the area that you need for the railway corridor is multiplied by the factor of 2, 3, or 4 with ecological compensation. So it's more the land that you take for ecological compensation, for instance, from the farmers, than for the railway corridor itself. So this is maybe the implication of you have to compensate for the biodiversity negative impact by a factor of 2 or 3 of the area that you're destroying. So this is the land take that might be considered.
And you remind me the case of the declaration of IENE of the previous conference, because we highlight the difference between West and East in Europe. In West Europe, you have to just update your, let's say, railway network. In Eastern Europe, we need to create new ones. We heard from Vasek yesterday in the field trip, the day before yesterday, the need for a new high-speed railway in Czech Republic, which is a big question mark how this can be built. So all are interconnected. Ivo.
I will add a little bit to Andreas's comment, because he already mentioned what I want to say. The new railways we have to build to improve the system and to find a place for the role of the railway in future. Will be a big barrier effect to the people, even in the places where there are no railways yet. And we are facing here already, about 10 years before we start to build high-speed railways, that some villages are asking why we should have it here. Because people are it's common for them to go to the field, walk the dog on the field roads, or run or something. And now you build them the railway, and there will be very low number of crossings, because we want to cut the costs, of course. So why they have to go 1-2 kilometers to the nearest forest for recreation. So I think this it's some kind of NIMBY approach, of course, but simply they really are not winners in this situation, locals. So I think this will make a big social problem. So that's first, what I want to mention. And second one is the construction of new or upgraded current railways means that also some older parts of the railway network will be abandoned. And I think we don't know now much what to do with these abandoned or vacant railways, even some roads, but mainly it is case of the railways, because these are some kind of brownfield, but very specific one. You have something with a width 2-3 kilometers, but 15 meters.
I want to answer you.
Yeah.
In Belgium, we have the highest density of railways in Europe, and a lot of them were made long time ago. And after World War II, a lot of them were abandoned. And now they are the perfect spot for making cycling paths. So you can even use them afterwards for a lot of things. Some of them are cycling paths, and other are perfect ecological corridors because nature took them over. So in both ways, they are very interesting, those old abandoned railways. Look at it from that perspective.
Yeah, of course. I know that Belgium it's come on to convert railways to cycling paths. Okay, the question is if the direction of that former railway is good, has a sense for making biking paths, and then question is, and you are right that it's great for the green infrastructure to enhance in the landscape. But the question is who should do this? Because I think that the railway companies or infrastructure managers do not want to do this.
I can answer it. In Belgium, the ecological corridors are NGOs, nature NGOs, who are taking over it. And building the cycling paths are local communities or regional communities who are doing it. It's a good question.
I'd like to, yes, very short comment. I think it's interesting that when we talk about the future of rail, we often think about the high-speed rail, the high technology solutions, and at the same time we talk about the benefits for the public, better communication. We exchange our individual transport for public transport, but these are two different things. When we want to encourage people to leave their cars at home or not even buy one and use public transport to travel to work or the next city, we don't need high-speed railway. We need the local railways. We need a denser network of low-speed commuting railways. And there we get the social benefits that we really want. The high-speed railways, they're competing with flights. It's probably there where we have the greatest revenue, financial revenue. I don't know. But I think it's important that we distinguish that.
Of course, we can continue, but not the time. So thank you very much.
Go on.
Thank you. So I think it's now we can clap the hand to let's say that ourselves. Thank you. Thank you. I think it was very good that we get your opinions because we actually design, that's what we would like to see also the railways in the future. But I don't need to pass through this one because more or less we already mentioned about all the topics. It's in line with your vision and what we are expecting as an organization. It's more or less that they are the same, let's say. So I believe that in a vision 2030, the Symbiosis project will help us also to continue on to not just challenges, see the challenges, also bring opportunities that we can bringing up maybe the brownfield to the like say the green areas and all. So this is the one side, but I would like to just to carry on to our next agenda topics, which is actually I want to show you the sustainability infrastructure, the rail infrastructure, how could be this kind of a case studies. So therefore, I would like to invite Thomas Schuh from ÖBB Infra. And also we have an online connection once again, Robin Palmer from the UN Environment Program. So just Thomas, I think we're going to start with video first.
Okay. You want to look for it? Yeah. Maybe we can see it afterwards. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for listening. Pinar asked me to one more maybe present you the best case that we the best case of a green bridge that we already received the project award 2 years ago, and I just want to lose a few words about where it is, why it was built, and how it was built. You see here the Trans-European network, which is also, of course, running through Austria. And in the southern part of Austria, we have to build a completely new railway, which is part of the Baltic-Adriatic corridor. And in the province of Carinthia, where you see this arrow, we will cross a large forest area, and it was decided to build a green bridge there. So just to give you an impression of the Trans-European network for the railway sector, and there are 4 or 5 of these corridors running through Austria. And in comparison to that, we also have these regional and international corridors for wildlife, and this is indicated by these green lines. We have this map in our environmental agency, and where these green lines are intercepted by railway infrastructure or linear infrastructure, you should think about how to reconnect these corridors again. And we are here in the southern part, in the province of Carinthia, and in our GIS we also already integrated these ecoducts. You can see it with the symbol there, and you see also the green lines, which are the regional wildlife corridors in this area. This is just a more detailed image. And this brings me to the green bridge itself. It was a very specific technology. For the first time worldwide, they tried it at this scale. So this is just a mock-up, but if you have the chance to see the video, then you will see it at full scale. It's a pneumatic formed hardened concrete, which has been built on the site. It's only possible, of course, when you're on a green field, and it's not possible to do that in an already existing line. And this specific construction method led to a massive reduction in material compared to a framework bridge. And we also calculated that in terms of CO2 and in terms of acidification and in terms of eutrophication. And you just see in this graph the advantage between this type of bridge and a framework bridge. So this is how it looks today. You can also see that we are installing bird protection on that line with the green, with the red bird protection caps on the poles. Yeah, and that's basically all. This is an aerial image of how it looks. You see the forest area that is cut through by the railway line, and the concrete shell that has been built there. So yeah, we received the prize at the last IENE conference, and this bridge was also taken as one of the best practice cases for the UNEP publication. Okay, so the video is working maybe. yeah, so that's our innovative dream.
Otevíráme pro vás zmodernizovanou prodejnu DM.
So that's all from my side. So thanks for listening. If you have questions and if I'm able to answer them, you're welcome to meet me in the pause. Thank you.
Well, it's if you want, you can stay. But I'm sure that there are people they will going to ask you a question. But we can continue. Also, I can check just Rowan if you are there. Are you there, Rowan?
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I am here. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe I can just take you and then I can call you again once again. Thank you. Okay. So Rowan, it's actually we just listened Thomas the case study, let's say from the ÖBB. So we can continue on as just Thomas mentioned about that. So it's actually I give you the floor. I have your presentation and you can talk about why you are interested actually in this case study that is from the ÖBB.
Great. Thanks very much. Okay, yes, I see my slide there. So yeah, I guess I'll start by zooming out a bit and explaining a bit of sort of where we're coming from with the work on sustainable infrastructure. For my team in UNEP working on this, we're coming at it from a green economy perspective, which is all about sort of shifting investments into more sustainable sectors, basically greening economic activity. And we see infrastructure investments as being a cornerstone of the approach because number one, there's really large investments involved. And the type of infrastructure that we build has huge impacts in terms of the sustainability of most of our activities, or sort of social and economic activities. And then these investments, what we build, most infrastructure assets have a really long lifespan. So those positive or negative impacts get locked in. We can see here, the slide is basically showing the influence of infrastructure on the 169 SDG targets. And so we know that its influences either positively or negatively most of the targets, 92% of them overall. And so for us, it's really about trying to balance, help countries to balance the positive impacts, service delivery from infrastructure with the negative environmental impacts. And if you could go to the next slide, please. This importance and sort of role of infrastructure in global sustainable development is recognized by UN member states, who are basically our governing body, our clients, if you will. And member states passed a couple of resolutions at the 4th and 5th UN Environment Assemblies in 2019 and 2022, basically recognizing the importance of infrastructure for the SDGs and other global agendas, and provided us with our mandate to be working on it. Next slide, please. So one of the main sort of things we've done to try and promote more sustainable approaches to infrastructure planning and development has been the creation of these international good practice principles for sustainable infrastructure. So these were developed with a working group of about 30 different organizations from around the world, as well as inputs from member states. And they're targeted primarily at policymakers because, the majority of it's still governments and the public sector that's the sort of proponent or developer for the majority of infrastructure in the world. And they highlight what we call needs-based, systems-level, integrated approaches to sustainable infrastructure. The emphasis is they apply across the life cycle, and you can see the graph here on the right. But one of the things that we had observed, around 5 or 6 years ago when we started working on this was most of the conversation and the work on sustainable infrastructure was really focused more at the project level, so further downstream in the life cycle. The sustainability conversation is often linked to financing through the application of safeguards and things. And so we saw a need and an opportunity to try and target more this upstream area of the life cycle. So trying to look at the enabling environment and some of these strategic planning decisions that happen upstream of the project level, and really focus on, as I said here, needs-based systems level integrated approaches. So by needs-based, we're trying to promote and support infrastructure planning that uses data to understand the need for services and then considering how to meet them most effectively and sustainably. Historically, there's been a strong focus on meeting service needs with new gray infrastructure. So we try and we talk about thinking about alternatives to new gray infrastructure. So upgrading existing infrastructure, managing demand for certain services, investing in natural infrastructure and nature-based solutions and things like this. So really kind of a change of mindset or a broadening in the thinking about how we deliver different infrastructure services. The second part of this is the systems level interventions. And this really refers to that sort of trying to intervene upstream in the life cycle and more in the enabling environment, as opposed to project level interventions. So really, focusing on the policies and sort of strategic planning processes where big decisions are made about sort of what to build rather than how to build something, right after you've already made these big decisions about what to build. And by intervening sort of earlier on, the idea is that there's potentially more options on the table. Things are, still there hasn't been a certain path dependency because less decisions have already been made. And it's also, from our perspective, a more efficient way to engage. We're a relatively small UN organization. And the idea is, if you can help create a better enabling environment further upstream, it can then have positive impacts on multiple projects versus trying to go from a project by project approach. And then the last idea is the idea of integrated approaches. And this means, again, kind of thinking beyond the project. So recognizing that infrastructure systems are integrated parts of a larger system that include the built environment, but also the natural environment and the enabling environment, thinking about how the interlinkages between these different elements of the system work, where the synergies and trade-offs are. Also, making sure to think about all three dimensions of sustainability, so the social, economic, and environmental. There was historically a pretty strong focus on the sort of climate aspects of infrastructure sustainability, and it started to change in the last couple of years, where nature is sort of coming more into consideration, but that was really absent from most of the discussions a few years ago. And this is obviously, I think, the nature piece of it is really relevant to the work of IENE and to the case study that we just saw as well. So this is sort of the underlying ideas behind our approaches. And then next slide, please. In terms of actually what we do to support countries. So at the global level, we collect and share best practices and case studies. And actually the case study that we just saw is one that we've published as part of a series of case studies illustrating the different aspects of these 10 good practice principles. So I believe that was framed around principle 4, which is on integrating nature into planning decisions. But we have, some sort of global resources to share best practices and experience and things like that. But then we also have more country level work where we provide sort of direct support to governments. And here we really try and approach it sort of as a two-part problem, in that the overall goal is to help shift investments into more sustainable and resilient projects. So on the one side, we work with the the finance and investment communities, and in my team particularly working on the public finance side and looking at how public budgets can be better. Public budgets for infrastructure can be better aligned with sustainability and resilience objectives, but also, recognizing that you can't invest in projects that don't exist. We also provide support on the planning side to help, ideally, help governments develop pipelines of sustainable, resilient infrastructure projects that are also bankable and going to be able to attract financing investment. And we have different tools and things that that are available for that sort of more, I guess, bespoke technical assistance type of work. But for us, particularly on the sort of global knowledge gathering, knowledge exchange, collecting and sharing best practices, this is where we really rely on our partnerships with a big quite a wide variety of organizations, but certainly, the stuff coming out of the BISON project, and now SYMBIOSIS, and the work of IENE and lots of the partners involved here is obviously highly relevant for sharing these best experiences and sort of tools and different things with other countries. So maybe I'll stop there. I think I've probably used my time, but yeah, happy to discuss more and answer questions or anything.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Rowan. So I'm very happy that it's like ÖBB that's just bringing up this best practice, and it's also been like highlighted as a sustainable infrastructure to be able to shift the investments towards the sustainable solutions, which is being pointed out from the UNEP side. So do you have any questions to both our speakers, to Thomas Schru and Rowan Palmer? Yeah. So there's one there and there's one there. Yeah.
Well, I'm first. Okay. The type of contract, what type of contracts are you using? You can make a design upfront, but during the project, there can be differences in or changes needed for the design. So maybe small, maybe it's a bit bigger. If you use an alliance as a contract, it's much more easier to make those changes during the project. If you have everything fixed in documents, then it's much harder to change them. So what do you think about that?
This question to Rowan or both? Yeah, Rowan, do you want to answer that? Did you hear that, the question?
Yeah, I did. I think probably I am not as well placed to answer maybe as the other speaker, because we're not sort of working at the project level with contracts and things like this.
Okay, so yeah. So.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. I think I'm not able to answer this question either, because I'm not. I was not part of the project team, unfortunately. I can only tell you that in this particular example, this was a collaboration with a technical university, yeah, to test it upfront. But concerning the context, that the company is very strictly regulated by the procurement laws. I think this is what the only thing that I can tell you as far as I know. So we have I know that in Netherlands, I think they have another framework for working together. This is not the case in our country. Yeah.
Okay, so we are coming a bit. Is there any quick questions, let's say? Do you have any idea? No? Okay, we're coming just to the end, and I can see that everyone getting tired. Thank you, Rowan, and thank you, Thomas, for the great presentations also. And yeah, I think I'm just inviting you to wrap it up probably this session. From my side, it was a brilliant, and we just getting interactivity, but Lazarus, shall I invite you? Sure.
So I think it was nice brainstorming, good ideas, good challenges. But I would like to say that we would like to have more feedback in the future. So we would like to send an email of all of you that we would like to continue to be in contact with the project. But it's really important, for example, that we need a connection with the society and the biodiversity. What Andreas said, that it's not the same to have high speed. High speed is something unique, special. So we have to see the routine base. I would like to highlight the difference between Europe in a regional level. This is very important. And also the use of the technology. We learned in this conference that technology and the tech guys, we need more in our, let's say, routine on transport ecology. And innovation. What else? I don't know, from the other question, I'm trying to see the society point of view. I don't know about the future, if we are very close to the vision of all of us. Sure, that the railways are promoted as a greener transport system. We have to see how much green is that when we increase the use of train. And I learned from Andreas that when we have a lot of routes every day, we have a real fence or a virtual fence. So we have to see how this can be solved, which means more mitigation measures. Another question is fence or not fence, which is also connected with security, because security is connected with the society, with the people, but also with the fragmentation, the security of animals. We didn't say nothing about train mortality, but we saw a lot of cases in the presentations, all the systems and all the talk. And I think we are in a good direction to start symbiosis in all these aspects that we discussed today. You are the coordinator. I don't know if you will.
No, that's great for me. Nothing to edit anymore, actually. So it's actually, I'm just going to conclude it in here. We have this couple of slides. If you would like to have the being also, I hope all the conversations spark an idea. And maybe you have more interest now from the Symbiosis project. And if you wish to be part of us as an advisory board member, we're also open for more engagements. And then there are also the emails that I would like to share with you. So feel free to drop an email to us, and we'll be happy to make sure that we are engaged. And we also take your opinion and bring in and integrate in our project during this development of the 3 years program. So I can see everyone's taking picture. I'm not going to continue anymore. So we can stop maybe the slides in here. But thank you very much for your all participations. And I hope you're going to have a nice return back to the home. And then I would like to also thank you to all my co-organizers and also our speakers online today. So thank you very much for your all contributions. And now is the applause, please. Thank you.